Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's episode of the BioSlife Franchise Product Training Call. My name is Dr. Peter Verdegam, and I'm the Chief Science Officer at Unicity International. Today I'll be covering yet another great product of the Unicity International product line, and today it's going to be Paraway Pack. Now, I know many of you know Paraway Pack because it is a long-time product that we've been carrying for a number of years, and we do that because it has been a very successful product. As most of you know, Paraway Pack is in fact 3 products in one box. Those products are Nature's Tea, Life Fiber, and Paraway Plus. And it's 3 products together that make this a unique cleansing product. I immediately said what it's for. It's to cleanse. It's to cleanse the intestinal tract and also some other parts of the body. Now, as you will come to understand, cleansing is very important, particularly in our society today. Now, cleansing is mostly done in the intestinal tract. And the intestinal tract is also called the GI tract, the gastrointestinal tract, is a very important organ in our body. Why is it so important? Well, it is one of the 2 ways that we get stuff inside our body, in our bloodstream. First of all, we all know the lungs, which is the entry point of oxygen to get into our system. But second, our GI tract is actually more important because all nutrients, vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, everything you can think of has to enter our bloodstream and does so through the GI tract. The GI tract, in fact, is a long tube. It starts with our mouth and it goes all the way down, as we all know. And it's not considered the inside of our body because basically it's a tube that has 2 open ends, our mouth and the bottom. So it is an open system that is actually being part of the outside of our body, not the inside. That is why we can have certain problems with the GI tract. Now, as you know, the GI tract has different components. First of all, the mouth, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, the colon, and all parts have their own specific function when it comes to absorption of nutrients. Certain things are absorbed already in the mouth. Other things are absorbed at later stages in the GI tract. An interesting example is that alcohol, and I picked that example because that's the one that most people know, is actually already absorbed in the mouth. It goes very quickly into our bloodstream. However, certain vitamins and minerals are absorbed at much later stages in our GI tract. For example, the small intestine. Water is the component that is absorbed through all the system, also in the end of the colon. The colon, in fact, reabsorbs the water, the excess water, which is in our GI tract, to be recycled into the system. So there are different stages, different parts of the GI tract that take care of different types of absorption. Now, because we put so much stuff into our GI tract, a lot of things can happen. And basically, I've collected 4 different things that can go wrong with the GI tract. First of all, along with the food that we eat, we have a lot of other stuff that comes in it, like debris, like toxins. Basically, food can be contaminated. Food can have herbicides or pesticides or fungicides. Those are chemicals that we need in large quantities today to meet the ever-increasing production requirements of our crops. But those things are dangerous chemicals, and as we eat apples, as we eat lettuce or meat or anything else, we actually take those pesticides and herbicides along with it. And those things are typically not very well absorbed. Food is, but the chemicals are not because our intestinal system is not really used to absorbing those foreign particles. So what happens, it starts to collect. It starts to build up large concentrations of those toxins, of those chemicals in the inside of our intestinal tract. Another thing you can think of is heavy metals. You may know that fish these days is increasingly contaminated with heavy metals such as mercury and other bad things. And you know, our body does not know how to absorb these things. So it is being accumulated into our intestinal tract. And as you can imagine, that's easily understandable. This is a very bad situation because heavy metals, foreign chemical components are going to destroy part of the intestinal tissue. And that intestinal tissue is very important in adequate nutrient absorption. So if you're going to damage that with heavy metals, you're going to develop a problem. People that have large amounts of collected debris inside their intestinal tract, in fact, limit the absorption of essential nutrients like vitamins and minerals. And that is part of the reason why those people feel very bad. They have low energy. They can develop all kinds of illnesses and sicknesses simply because they do not absorb those nutrients in adequate amounts. that's the first problem that I could think of when it comes to the GI tract health. The second problem is that the GI tract can collect parasites. Now, parasites, what is a parasite? Well, there are a lot of different parasites. We have worms, we have viruses, we have bacteria, and you may think, well, I'm not encountering these things where I live. Well, in fact, you do, because there's a lot of sources of parasites. And parasites like to go inside the intestinal tract. Why? First of all, because it's warm and moist. That's what they like. And there's adequate food around, namely the food that we eat. So parasites tend to like it to live inside your intestinal tract. And you can get them from anywhere. You can get them from, contaminated food. If you eat food from places that do not take good care of their food, you can actually get those parasites living in the food inside your intestinal tract. You can get them when you are traveling, particularly to certain areas of the world where there's not good hygiene. But don't be fooled. I mean, there's a lot of situations also in the United States that you can collect a parasite inside your intestinal tract. And because it likes it there so much over there, it's very difficult to get it out because it is going to stay there. You know, for example, the tapeworm. Tapeworms can be present in your intestinal tract and basically eat all the food away before you can absorb it. So if you have a growing tapeworm in the inside of your intestinal tract, what that tapeworm is going to do is eat your food, because your food is going to come in, the tapeworm is living on that food, and you have a lower amount of food to be absorbed. That's very serious, and that's why a tapeworm can get longer and longer and longer. That's one example. Another example is hookworms. Hookworms are very small worms with, if you're using a microscope, look at them, you actually see they have very big teeth, almost like teeth, and they hook on the inside of your intestinal tissue because they like it there and they want to stay there. And that's what happens with parasites. Bacteria is another problem. Bacteria are also a form of parasite. Not all bacteria are parasites, but a lot of them are. Parasites, in fact, is the definition, of course, that it lives on your expense. It's parasitic. Parasitic means living on the host's expense. That's the definition of a parasite. So that's the second problem that we are facing today. Actually, those parasites can also move away from the GI tract and actually go into your blood and go to different places of your body. So it's a pretty serious problem if you have a parasite, and there are many people that have one or two or three or more without actually knowing it. So those parasites living in your system, what do they cause? Well, first of all, lack of energy, lack of food absorption because they take your food away, but also they producing toxins. They produce chemical components themselves that can make you sick again. So that's another reason why you don't want to have parasites. Also, they are parasitic, and that means they make your bacterial flora suffer. And that brings me to the third thing, bacterial flora. The bacterial flora lives in our GI tract, and those are the friendly bacteria. We need those bacteria to do very important jobs for us. And there are many healthy bacteria living on the inside of our intestinal tract. In fact, there's an interesting statistic, but if you think about all the cells that you have in your own body, your bodily cells, which are in the trillions, you have 10 times as more than that bacteria living in your intestinal tract. So important it is. If you get born, if a baby has absolutely zero bacterial flora, but over time you start growing those healthy colonies, and because your body knows which bacteria are healthy, which are not, it promotes the situations, the living conditions for the healthy bacteria. So that's why over time you build up those colonies of lactobacilli, other friendly bacteria that we need, and they help us with the health. They do many different things. First of all, they form a barrier. By keeping your bacterial flora healthy, you are going to make them flourish. And if they flourish, they're going to keep unhealthy bacteria out. That's their barrier function. They also produce vitamins. For example, vitamin K is being produced by bacterial flora in the inside of your intestinal tract. And that's, of course, a very beneficial effect from these bacteria. They also stimulate your immune system. They produce components that signal your immune system that it should be on the watch. They also serve as, to stimulate certain cells that are part of your immune system. So, in conclusion, your bacteria flora is very important for your overall health. And those are the three most important things that I can think of that can actually go wrong with the health of your GI tract system. it is so important that scientists believe that 80%, now, okay, this is an important number, 80%, 80, of all the diseases have their origin in the intestinal tract. That's amazing. That's amazing. And that's because your intestinal tract plays such an important role in absorbing adequate nutrients and in protecting your immune system and, in fact, stimulating your immune system. So that's how important it is to keep your intestinal system completely healthy. How can we do that? Well, first of all, we have to keep it clean. We have to keep the living environments of the bacterial flora clean. We have to make sure toxins, heavy metals are being removed from the gut. We have to make sure parasites are not able to live there, are being expelled. That is the best thing you can do to ensure GI tract health. That's the first step, cleansing. Cleansing is the first step of keeping your GI tract healthy. And that's why Unicity has Paraway Pack. Paraway Pack, the name suggests it's about parasites. Yes, it's about parasites. That's a very important aspect of it. But it does more. It also cleanses your gut from those chemicals. It cleanses your gut from the toxins and heavy metals. So it is really a multitask pack. And as I said, it comprises 3 different products. Those products are Paraway Plus, Nature's Tea, and Life Fiber. And I mention them in that order because it's a very important order, because it makes sense if I explain to you the different functions of those products. Paraway Plus, in short, kills parasites. Nature's Tea is a laxative, and Life Fiber cleans out and soothes your intestinal tract from the inside. Now, by doing it in that order, you are actually going to promote your cleansing effect of the whole pack. First, you want to kill all the parasites available. Then you want to start promoting the laxative effect, making sure your intestinal tract is going to expel everything that's in there, cleaning it out. And then finally, you have Life Fiber, which is a soluble and insoluble fiber mixture that actually somehow scrubs out the inside of your intestinal tract and makes sure it gets clean. Now, cleansing is not something you do every day. It's not that you cleanse every day in a row for the rest of your life. No, you do this in episodes. And some people are happy by cleansing, once every 6 months. Some people cleanse every 3 months. Some people do it more often. But you shouldn't do it continuously, because if you do it continuously, particularly with the laxative Nature's Tea, you are going to somehow make your intestinal system lazy. It's going to, not be, that's not the best thing you can do for your intestinal tract. You have to do it in episodes. And my advice is actually do it once every 2, once every 3 months. That is a time frame that you can think of to do a cleansing cycle using the Paraway Pack. Now let me explain those 3 different products. First, Paraway Plus. Paraway Plus is the product that expels, that cleans out, that kills the gut from those dangerous parasites that you don't want to have. And how does it do that? Well, one key thing is that it creates an environment for the parasites that they do not like. That's the simple explanation of how Paraway Plus actually works. It has a lot of different ingredients in it. Pumpkin seed, black walnut, knotweed, garlic, cloves, sage leaf. It's a long list. In fact, there are 15 different ingredients in Paraway Plus. But they all have their own individual scientific proof and chemical analysis, what's in there that actually make those ingredients work. We, the science department at Unicity, decided to combine the best researched ingredients with anthelmintic effects. Anthelmintic actually means power to expel parasites or worms. So we have collected a list of well-researched and components that have been used by many people for a long time, and selected the best. That's what we typically do at Unicity. When we develop a product, we realize there's more things that you can use to give the same result. And you don't want to stick to one ingredient. You can do it, but if you take one ingredient, put that in a product, you are going to be helpful to a certain type of parasite, and you're going to be helpful to a certain type of people. That's the problem if you only use one ingredient. You want to use mixtures in order to make sure many different parasites are going to be expelled, and also the product is going to be effective for almost everybody that uses it. That's why we have a mixture of ingredients. Now, it's too complicated to explain every individual ingredient, but you have to imagine this happens. All those ingredients have bioactive components in the extracts. All are plants extracts. And the bioactive components in those plants create an environment that certain parasites do not like. You can imagine they will change the pH value in the inside of the intestinal tract. They will change certain biochemical processes that are necessary for the parasites to continue living. And by giving those chemicals in those cleansing cycle that come from Paraway Plus, you are going to create an absolutely unfriendly environment to the parasites. And, for example, the hookworm, which is a good example, is not going to be able to stick to the inside of the intestinal tract. It's going to let go, simply said. It's very simple said. It's unhappy. It cannot control its functions the way it wanted to do, living in your gut, and it's going to let go. The same thing for the tapeworm. The same thing from other worms that normally flourish in the inside of your gut where it is moist and warm, but having a great deal of these components they really cannot deal with from those natural sources in Paraway Plus, you are going to create that environment that they want to let go. And that's what happens. The parasites are letting go. And that's when the next product comes in, which is Nature's Tea. Because Nature's Tea is a laxative tea, a cleansing tea. That tea also has many different herbal extracts in the tea bag, but the most important thing is senna. Senna is a very long time, well-known ingredient to induce laxative effect and cleansing for your intestinal tract. Senna contains anthraquinones, and anthraquinones are components which can also be found in rhubarb. Those are the two main sources in nature for those components that stimulate your intestinal tissue to generate this pumping effect, this slow effect of creating a laxative effect. It stimulates the movement of your bowels. It's a little irritant molecule, this anthraquinones, but in a positive way because it stimulates your intestinal tissue to start generating a movement. And that movement is the laxative effect you feel. And you can regulate that laxative effect yourself simply by allowing a longer steeping time for your tea. So it's a tea bag. You put it in hot water just as you make any ordinary tea. But the time you put the bag in the tea is actually going to determine how strong the laxative effect is. And certain people say, I can let it in for a long time and still have no problem with diarrhea, because that can happen if you if you make it too strong to cleanse the Nature's Tea. But certain people have a problem with that, and you can simply regulate it. Make it a little bit lighter tea, and you're going to have a more smooth effect of the laxative. This is a great second step, because if you create the environment that the parasites are not happy, the laxative effect on top of that is going to expel the parasites. And I've personally never seen it, but I hear many stories from people that are using the Paraway pack that have very vivid description of what can actually happen when they see parasites being expelled from their intestinal tract. And I know some of you have seen pictures and sometimes even videos of that effect being taken care of. So that's the second step, creating that laxative effect. That laxative effect also expels not only parasites but also toxins and heavy metals, because it is going to push everything out, and that's just a very good thing once in a while for your intestinal tract. The third step is life fiber, and life fiber is a special kind of fiber. In Unicity we have two fibers. One is BioSlife, the other one is life fiber. But life fiber is a mixture of soluble and insoluble fiber, and that's a great mixture to generate cleansing. It's not so good to promote your cholesterol management as BioSlife is doing, but this one is a special fiber mixture to create the cleansing effect in your GI tract. The soluble fiber makes sure that your stools are being soft, are being kept, not that they don't form hard clumps, but are actually soft, so that the cleansing effect is going more easy. The insoluble fiber function as a sort of scrub. It's actually a scrub, pushing itself through your intestinal tract. By doing so, scrubbing the inside of your tissue clean to promote, even further expelling of the parasites and the removal of toxins and chemicals. That completes the cycle. And life fiber is also containing some things like peppermint and some other herbs that are really having a soothing effect. Peppermint is a very well-known soothing effect for your intestinal tract. A lot of my mom, in fact, she has had a stomach operation, and she can hardly eat a lot of food. She has to be very careful what she eats. when she had too much to eat, she takes peppermint. And peppermint, as we know, is a very well-known thing after a meal that soothes your intestinal tract. That's why it's in live fiber. It finishes up the cleansing cycle, making sure that your GI tract is soothed. And that's, of course, a very beneficial effect. So those are the 3 steps. Let me recapitulate the 3 steps. 1, creating an unfriendly environment for the parasites using Paraway Plus. 2, start the laxative effect, the cleansing effect using nature's tea, slowly expelling the parasites that do not want to live in your gut any longer, removing toxins, removing chemicals from our surroundings, and finally, live fiber, scrubbing out the inside of your intestinal tract with the insoluble fiber and giving the soothing effect. That is a great 1, 2, 3 step when it comes to your regular GI tract cleansing. What's going to happen once you do this? Well, it's so easy to understand. You are going to have a clean intestinal tract. You are going to so much better absorb nutrients, vitamins, minerals that you need in order to stay healthy. And that's going to be greatly increased. So people that have undergone a cleansing cycle are suddenly having more energy because the nutrients that they're eating anyway are now going to be absorbed much better. So that's a great effect, and that's immediately what they notice, the effect on energy throughout the day, because now they can feel they can absorb the food again that their body is really craving. You're going to promote your immune system. Your immune system is determined in a great deal by the friendly bacteria. If you remove parasites from your system, you are going to promote the growth of your healthy bacteria in the inside of your intestinal tract. And that means you are going to promote your immune system. That's a great second thing that's going to happen. And you're going to improve your overall health. You are going to make sure your body knows and can fight off diseases itself by keeping the 80% source of diseases, as I explained, in a clean and healthy state. That is what Paraway Pack is doing. As a follow-up product, which is not part of Paraway Pack, you can use probiotics. Probiotics is, in fact, a live source of those friendly bacteria. So it's, in fact, a very interesting product to end a cleansing cycle with. First, cleaning out your intestinal system, but then promoting the growth of your healthy bacteria in your GI tract even further by taking probiotic. And probiotic is a unique product. It has a lot of live bacteria, a lot of live cultures in it with a unique technology. A lot of products on the market that have probiotic bacteria, in fact, are dead. There are a lot of studies have been done taking product from the shelf, examining how much active bacteria are actually in it, and a lot of times there is no bacteria in it. Well, they're in it, but they're all dead, and that's not how they can benefit your intestinal health. The way normally, traditionally, how to get live bacteria in your system is by drinking it and by refrigerating the product. And we all know there are certain products on the market that are refrigerated bacteria. That's a good source of those bacteria, but it's not so convenient. Now, Unicity has probiotic, and probiotic uses a technology called LiveBac. And LiveBac, what it does, it encapsulates the bacteria in the product. And by doing so, it provides a protective layer for the healthy bacteria, when the living healthy bacteria, when we put it in the product, and it protects those bacteria for dying during, storing the product, because it keeps them healthy and fresh. But it also protects them from the acidic environment in the stomach, because they need that. Bacteria do not like acidic environments. So when you would take a product like that, and the bacteria would be, free, living in the acid conditions in your stomach, they would, in fact, die. And a lot of bacteria die during that passage, during the stomach. Probiotic does not have that effect. Because it is encapsulated. The bacteria survive the acid conditions in the stomach and end up in a live situation in the small and big intestine where they have to be. And we have proof of that, of course, because the LiveBac technology has been tested in our GI tract model system, which is a unique system that we can use to test the actual conditions that exist inside the intestinal tract. And we can observe what happens to a pill or a product or a drink when you put it through your intestinal system. And we have solid proof that the bacteria inside probiotic actually end up in your intestinal tract where they have to do their job in a live and healthy situation. And that makes probiotic one of the few dry room temperature products that are going to do the trick when it comes to improving the colonies of your friendly bacteria. That's what Probionic is doing for you. So that's a great product at the end of the cleansing cycle. Probionic you can use every day. The cleansing cycle you do once every 2 or 3 months. But Probionic you use every day to keep up your bacterial colonies in a healthy situation. Ladies and gentlemen, cleansing is very important. Keeping your primary entry point into your body in a healthy situation, in a healthy state. And that's something you can achieve by regular cleansing, just as you would clean anything where you live in, right? You clean your car, you clean your house because you like living in a clean environment. The same thing you have to do with your GI tract. And that is what you can achieve using Paraway Pack. Ladies and gentlemen, this was this week's episode of the BioSlife Franchise Product Training Call. I thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you learned something, and I'm looking forward to next week's call. Thank you. Bye-bye.